Good morning. So it is February 23rd, 2026, and I just kind of want to give a hive report, kind of update on what we're seeing personally in some of our hives throughout the Albuquerque area. So again, what your bees are doing in Socorro, Las Cruces, Deming, versus what your bees are doing in Farmington, even some of the higher altitudes, Taos, things like that, they're going to vary, but generally speaking, you're either going to be a week behind if you're at the higher altitudes and higher elevations, or you're going to be a week ahead if you're at lower altitude, lower elevation than where we are here in Albuquerque. And even still, there'll be some variance. This is just what we're seeing. This is our personal account of kind of what our bees are doing given this current date and time. So I was in hives over the weekend down in Los Lunas, taking a look at where they're at. Huge brood numbers. I mean, really substantial brood for this time of the year. A lot more than what typically we would see for the early end part of February. That being said, tons and tons of capped drone brood. And so we're realistically, we're a week away from seeing drones. I didn't see any drones in any of the hives that we were in yet, but I did see just a ton of capped drone brood in that bottom box. So for us, we keep open frames in a lot of the bottom boxes in some of our yards. And we do that because we want to produce drones. We want heavy drone numbers for mating yards. And so that's kind of my first indication of when we can go and make a split or make splits, is once I see drones, actively starting to fly and are out. So at most we're a week out from seeing those capped drone cells hatch. And then obviously they have to get acclimated. They have to do orientation flights, get their flight muscles working. So we're looking personally at about the 1st of March. So we'll probably be the first part of March to start making those splits. And we just do walkaway splits, and we'll do some videos on those as we're doing them and kind of explain what that process looks like. But that's for us, that's where we're at. The other really important thing, so we had a really decent pollen flow hit for the Siberian elms. That was pretty strong, but again, that's short-lived. It maybe lasts a week at the most. At the higher altitude, some of the pines, the juniper, the pinyon, probably not pinyon, but definitely the juniper, are producing pollen. That'll stick around a little bit longer, but we're going to come into a dearthy period of time. We'll come into a time probably right around the 1st of March, where there's not a lot of pollen. We haven't had substantial rain to kick off any kind of substantial nectar flow, and that usually happens for at least 15 to 20 days. Historically, it could change, and that's part of the importance of watching your weather and making sure you understand what the weather's doing, what your local climate's doing, and then adjust accordingly with your feeding schedules. But to that point, we have huge brood numbers right now. We want to go in, we want to make those splits. Feeding your bees is absolutely critical. And it's critical for that brood development. So in the bottom of that cup, where that egg has been laid and that larva is developing, there has to be enough moisture within the royal jelly, and the bees feed this and monitor it, but there has to be enough moisture for that larva to develop properly. And if there's not, because we're arid, we're dry here in New Mexico, your brood production really suffers substantially. So that's one of the reasons that we feed, and we start feeding pretty early, is not because the bees necessarily need it. With the hives we were in this weekend, they had so much honey left over. It was unbelievable. We're gonna actually have to make room, but it'll be good for splits coming up into our nectar flow. But with that being said, it's the moisture. We feed to produce a moist environment for those bees, for that larva development. And so we're feeding like a 4-to-1, a 4-part water to 1-part sugar ratio. And again, I'm not necessarily concerned about getting carbohydrates into the colony. I'm more concerned about moisture content in those cells. I want those cells to have plenty of moisture, enough liquid. I don't want them drying out and our bees having to go try and source a moisture from another location. So we just mix it in with their feed. It definitely helps across the board. That's where we're at, kind of the second to last week of February, and we'll kind of play it by ear.